Yeah, there's no socks allowed on the set whatsoever. And DJ and Jack, thanks for coming early and accommodating that. That's great of you guys. Okay. Okay. It is Monday, March 4th, and this is the Wise Guys. We welcome you all in from around the world on a Monday night to the largest global live stream covering BYU sports anywhere in the world. I'm Blaine Fowler, and I'm here by myself tonight. Dave McCann is on the road. He will be joining us in just a little while. He's actually on the team bus with the baseball team. They're en route to Vegas, where BYU plays UNLV tomorrow afternoon at 3:05 Mountain Time. So they're probably just settling in. He's getting ready to go. He's going to join us as soon as he can get to a remote area where he can get on his computer and join up with us today. We're glad to have you in. This means I need all kinds of extra help from you on the live stream, on the chat. I need you to help me out, maybe answer some questions for me. Let me know what you're interested in. We've got a great show in store for you tonight. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure that and we'll put the link in the chat here, but make sure that you subscribe. It's free. We're also live on Facebook, Twitch, ysguys.com. Make sure you follow us at ysguys.com and subscribe to get our weekly email, highlights from the show. All of our past interviews are up there, including folks like Steve Young and Danny Ainge, Wally Joyner, Marie Osmond, Jimmer Fredette, Kyle Van Noy, who had a phenomenal NFL season, Sherry Dew. I mean, you name it, it's there. And if you subscribe, you'll get updates during the week. You have links to that. You can scroll down. You can find the interviews that you missed. We also will give you an update if we're going on a live stream, like, for instance, on National Recruiting Day. Dave and I did a little live segment covering kind of what was going on. Yeah, we appreciate if you do that. All of this is free. And for those of you that are joining us, we're glad to have you. Neil Jones already in from Tucson. Jonathan Ashcroft always with us. Let's go watch him from Henderson, Nevada. Dave's on his way down to Nevada. Hopefully, Jonathan, you're going to go watch that baseball team tomorrow. BYU Sports Addict always with us. Says you guys will help us. I appreciate that. We always appreciate our great folks out there on the chat that help us out all the time. Hey, BYU football practice. Let's talk about some of the things that are going on and some of the things we have in store for you on the show today. BYU football practice began last Thursday, but today, Monday, first day in full pads. So a big day. We're going to talk about that a little bit. BYU football TV analyst Dave Nixon is going to join us on here, and we're going to talk about spring ball. We may even talk a little bit of basketball with Dave here. He's going to give us his to-do list for BYU during spring ball and what they need to accomplish. BYU Hoops starts final week of regular season after a unbelievable banner week. Maybe their best week as a member of the Big 12 this last week. Noah Hartsock is going to join us as we relive the night he and the Cougars made the NCAA tournament history. Pretty awesome. And Noah, a great part of BYU basketball lore and BYU basketball history, playing with the great Jimmer Fredette. back in the day. So we'll have Noah here on with us, and we're going to talk about all things BYU basketball. It's tournament time for Amber Whiting, and the women's basketball team will break down their second-round matchup in this week's Big 12 tournament. The women's tournament starts this week. Seedings are already set. And as mentioned, Cougar Baseball opens Big 12 play this week. They start with Vegas, and then once they have that game tomorrow, they fly back to the East Coast. They're at West Virginia. Our buddy Dave McCann is on the bus trip. He'll be on the flight, and he'll be bringing it all to us on BYU Radio live from West Virginia later in the week. So let's get to some headlines. BYU. And by the way, I want to know your thoughts on some of what's going on. We appreciate all of you here. Glenn Lumen, always in, says good morning from the mountains of the Philippines. Glenn always joins us from the Philippines. We appreciate everybody, but especially our folks that come in from the Philippines and from all across the world. We're grateful to all of you. And you know what? We even are grateful when Evan Nephi Pierce comes to us from Laramie, Wyoming. So, headlines. Let's talk BYU football. I want to know your thoughts on some of this. There's some new rules that are being proposed and are going to be voted on coming up here when the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel meets on April 18th. Here's the first. There will be a 2-minute warning timeout at the end of the second and fourth quarters, just like in the NFL. Is that good for college football? Is that something that's been missing that they have in the NFL? Do you like this? Do you not like this? So talking about matching up the NFL with the 2-minute warning. I actually kind of like it. I feel like it's an extra timeout. It's a time to regroup, and it kind of set the stage for, hey, we're coming down the stretch here. And the NFL uses it as an extra timeout. So I'm for that one. This is the big one. This is the big change that probably was facilitated by what happened with Michigan and Jim Harbaugh this last season. Coach-to-player communication through the helmet to one player on the field, on each side of the ball, obviously, but one player on the field at a time. The communication will be turned off with 15 seconds left on the play clock or when the ball is snapped, whichever comes first. So this is all at the NFL. And I'm really interested to what you think about that, about having an earpiece in the helmet, particularly on offense for the quarterback. All of the holding up the signs and flashing in all the signals and having the fake guy said the signals and all. Like, this was just so complicated in college football. And for years in the National Football League, the technology has been available where you can easily have somebody in the booth, your offensive coordinator, signal the play or tell the play to the quarterback who can call it in the huddle or make the call at the line of scrimmage. And they just haven't gone there. So the technology is sound enough that we know it can work. I'm all for it. I think it's going to be great. You eliminate the opportunity for teams to steal signals and do all of that. This directly affected BYU just a couple of years ago when Jeff Grimes moved from BYU to Baylor and took over that offense as the offensive coordinator, and BYU's down playing at Baylor. Both teams had to change everything they were doing because Jeff Grimes took the same signing system. They used the same terminology. And so BYU thought, wait a minute, Jeff Grimes can sit over there and he knows exactly what we're doing. And Jeff Grimes was saying, wait a minute, BYU knows everything we're doing because we use the same signs and the same terminology. So for one game, they had to change everything up. This solves that problem. So I like it. I think it's good. Let me know in the chat what you think. Is this good to have an earpiece in the helmet of the quarterback and maybe your middle backer or your free safety on defense out on the field to make the play calls directly from the booth via closed circuit to players on the field? Do you like that? Do you like a 2-minute warning before halftime and at the end of the game? Both NFL rules talking about being adopted on April 18th by the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Other headlines. NFL Combine is up and running and almost complete, actually. 3 guys from BYU in the Combine. We had Keaton Slovis, Kingsley Suamataia, and Ryan Rico all invited and participating in the NFL Combine this year. All 3 looked great, in my opinion. How about this? Slovis ran the fastest 40 time of all of the quarterbacks. He ran a 4.55 40-yard dash, laser timed. That's faster than Zach Wilson ran. That's faster than Jaron Hall ran. Oh, by the way, that's faster than Puka Nacua ran, and it's also faster than Tyler Algier ran. That was, to me, the most unexpected thing that came out of, and maybe the entire Combine, for me, is that Keaton Slovis ran with that kind of speed. So that begs the question for me, was this Was Keaton Slovis underutilized? Did he have more speed than maybe this coaching staff realized? Could they have used him in the running game more? Or the lack of utilization of him in the running game, was that just a product of him being hurt so early in the season and them not wanting to take a chance, and so they never were able to take advantage of what they knew he could do? Because that was surprising to me. I had no idea that Keaton Slovis had that kind of speed. Amazing. Kingsley Suamataia, by the way, at over 300 pounds, ran a 5 flat 40. His agility drills were just off the chart. He did everything we thought that he would do in the combine to just open people's eyes and for everybody to just say, oh, wait a minute, this guy is a bona fide freak size-wise and speed-wise. People this big aren't supposed to move that fast. I think he did a great job at improving his draft stock with his combine. And then Ryan Rico just stood there and boomed punts like they were going out of style. And I think they probably looked at Ryan Rico and went, wait a minute, this guy looks like he could play outside linebacker, put a few pounds on, play defensive end. He is a physical specimen as well as a phenomenal punter with a great leg. And you would say, does that really matter? I think people look at him and go, this guy has the body to hold up for a long time in this league. He punts the ball with so much torque, but he's such a big guy, we feel like he can hold up, and he's probably worth the draft investment. That's how good Ryan Rico is. So all three guys accounted themselves extremely well. Knowing all three of them, I was really, really proud of the way that they performed in this one. Let's talk a little bit about the spring schedule for football. Full pads started today, Monday. The alumni game is coming up on Friday, March 22nd. Keep in mind, this will be at the old Provo High School, not at the stadium, which is being renovated. The field's being replaced. That will be on BYU TV. But if you get a chance, come out and join us out at the old Provo High. That's part of BYU now. You'll be up close and personal. And I'm going to discuss a little bit with Dave Nixon here in just a minute. But that should be a fun one. The last practice, they have a week of practice following the spring game, will be on Friday, March 30th. A couple other things that are coming up with football. Fan Fest in Dallas. That is going to be on April 27th. If you're anywhere down in that Metro Dallas area, make sure you get out to that. It's kind of practice for that SMU game on Friday, September 6th. They want to have a takeover of SMU Stadium by the BYU faithful down there. So a Fan Fest in Dallas to get ready for that. There's a Fan Fest coming into the Phoenix-Gilbert area on May 18th. So watch for that. Hopefully there's a takeover of the Arizona State Stadium on November 23rd when BYU plays on the road against the Sun Devils. So May 18th, Fan Fest in Phoenix, Gilbert area. Stadium of Fire is coming up July 4th. So stadium's supposed to be ready by July 4th for Stadium of Fire. Our good friend Dave McCann, who will be joining us shortly, will be one of the MCs, as he always is, for the Stadium of Fire. And by the way, I've been begging him since last week, and he still hasn't told me who the band is that's going to play at Stadium of Fire yet this summer, and he knows. So Big 12 Media Days, and we'll be representing you all down there July 9th through 10th. That's 9th through 10th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And then after further review returns, this is when you know football season is really upon us. After further review returns to BYU TV on July 26th, Dave Nixon, who's going to join us in just a second here, Dave McCann and I will be bringing you 5 episodes preseason to get you set and ready to go for the second season in the Big 12 as that starts. The first one will be on July 26th. Fall practice gets going at the end of July, and then the opener, Southern Illinois at BYU, Saturday, August 31st. So there you go. It seems like now that we have these milestones that we're now on the pathway for football to get going again, even though basketball is in the thick of it. And we're going to talk a little basketball here in just a bit with Noah Hartsock and when Dave McCann joins us. So before we do that, I just visited, before we came on air for a bit, with my good friend David Nixon, former BYU great linebacker. He took a little bit of time to catch up with us and wanted to be able to communicate with you. His kids had a basketball game tonight, so he asked if we could just tape it right before the show. So I caught up with him about a half an hour ago, and we're going to go to that right now, and we're going to join Dave Nixon, former BYU great linebacker. Our first guest is our longtime friend and colleague who not only played at BYU and in the National Football League, but also helps explain the game on After Further Review, which begins its 11th season. I can't even believe that, on BYU TV on July 26th. He's also a star on BYU TV's Game Day, before and after football games. Also airs on ESPN Plus. It's a pleasure to welcome back David Nixon to the Wise Guys. What's up, Dave?
Hey, feels good, Blaine. It's been a minute since we ended the season, and so it feels good to kind of reconnect here. After the season ends, we kind of all kind of go our ways. There's no more games to cover, so I miss you, man. I miss you big time.
I know. You could do some basketball. You're a basketball guy. You could come do some basketball with us. I'm going to talk to some people because you and I can't be separated this long. It's just not right.
Yeah, we will figure it out. We'll figure it out. My basketball skills and my analysis on basketball is a little rough, but I was at the TCU game on Saturday, and man, what a game! This team's insane. We watched them beat Kansas. I was with my little boys watching them beat Kansas at our house. We're chest bumping, fist pumping. I mean, it was insane. And then I went to the game on Saturday, and that was down by 17.5 to all of a sudden make the run they did in the second half. I mean, God, what a time to be a Cougar fan.
Yeah, so they were down by 12 at Kansas. They're down by 17. Do you like this? Do you like this cardiac kids type thing, or does it drive you nuts?
Well, it's funny because obviously you know that BYU's never out of these games, right? I mean, they can shoot their way back into these games. And so even down at 17.5, you're like, well, we shot 8% in the first half from three. They can't get worse than that. And sure enough, in the second half, they came out there with the confidence and the swagger and just started nailing shots. And you knew that they just need to get in some type of rhythm. And it was fun to see Trevin Nell, Jackson Robinson, everyone started to hit those shots and played much better defense. But, man, that arena – I've been to quite a few games there. That was rocking, and it was compared to almost the back in the day when Kawhi Leonard came with San Diego State.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I still don't think anything ever tops that with Jimmer, with Kawhi Leonard when they came, 2 top 10 teams. But the electricity in that arena at the Mary Center on Saturday, it was pretty dang close.
So I'm going to make a comparison here, and it's like I'm just – be with me on this one and just tell me what you think. So I thought about this the other night, and I'm asking you this because I'm going to compare somebody to your brother-in-law, Taysom Hill. So Richie Saunders, like, to me, he's a Taysom Hill kind of basketball guy. Comes into the game, it's like, what do you need me to do? Do you need me to go get 7 boards? Do I need 5 assists? Do I got to knock down some threes? Do I need to defend? Like, you just tell me what to do, and no matter what you ask me to do, I'll be the best guy on the floor at it, and I'll have the most energy. Is that a stretch to say he's like a Taysom Hill kind of a guy?
He's the Swiss Army knife of the basketball team. We'll just call it what it is. Honestly, Blaine, I'm with you. I mean, any loose ball, you know that Richie Saunders is going to be on the ground scrapping for it, right? And as a teammate, you know that he's got your back when it comes to the kind of physical side of things. But listen, the guy's a bona fide playmaker. I mean, he the way he was driving to the hoop and initiating contact, but the same way he can jump out there on the three and hit a nice little three. I mean, the guy's got some skills, and I agree. He kind of comes in and sets the tone and brings kind of a physicality, which sometimes this team lacks a little bit. This basketball team is fun to watch. As a football guy, I love to watch it because that's exactly what you want. That's what I was in high school. If I didn't foul out every game, I was disappointed with myself. So I was a Richie Saunders just coming around, flying around, trying to take guys' heads off. It was funny. Bronco, when he was recruiting me, came to one of my basketball games. And believe me, that game I made it a point to foul out. And after the game, he said he took notice that I used up all 5 of my fouls for sure.
He liked that. I'm sure Bronco liked that. So, well, I thought about it because Taysom, when he was with the Saints, it was like, hey, if I'm not playing quarterback, what do you need me to do? I'll be the best special teams guy you have. I'll be the best tight end you have. I'll be the best running back. Like, I want to play quarterback, but whatever you need. And I kind of feel like Richie has that mentality. And whenever Taysom runs onto the field, it's instant energy. For the fans, for everybody. When Richie Saunders comes into the game, instant energy for his teammates, for the fans. I mean, obviously, Taysom's a freak among freaks in the National Football League, but I thought there was some comparison there, and it's kind of fun to think about that.
No, I think it's a dead-on comparison. And you know what? Taysom's role this year will be interesting. He's got a new OC, a new quarterback coach. He's already met with both of them and had lengthy discussions. And so I know he's excited to return to the Saints and kind of see how they're gonna incorporate him into this new offense. But he's back here in Provo for the offseason now. We get to see more of him. But I think everyone, including himself, are kind of anxious to see what does this new revamped Saints offense look going into next year, and kind of what positions does he play and kind of what's his role. So it should be a pretty exciting offseason and season for him.
Well, if they don't figure out a way to utilize him, then they make a big mistake. And all of us know it, and all of the fans in New Orleans know it. So he has really established himself as one of the premier and most exciting players in the National Football League. And we're talking football now, right? So Taysom's here working out. The Cougs now are starting off season. They started last Thursday without pads. Today is the first spring practice with full pads. What do you remember from those early workouts back in the day when spring ball started and the first day you put pads on?
You know, it's funny. I'll be honest here. I only participate, I think, in only one spring ball. Usually I was so banged up from the prior season. I had injuries I was dealing with that I didn't participate in all of them. But to be honest, that kind of is the theme for spring ball. It is for the starters, like a guy like Ben Bywater. Like he doesn't need to be out there, right? This is a guy who's proven he knows the defense. He's going to continue to get healthy, but it's for the youngsters. It's for the transfer portal guys that enrolled early. It's for the newcomers, the guys off missions, the guys that redshirted last year. This is their chance to go out and fight for maybe a second team position or a third team. They're trying to fight their way to the depth chart. The starters, there will be some guys, some movement within the starters. But typically in spring ball, you kind of know who your starting 22 are going to be in the fall, especially this year where you had a lot of returners coming back from last year's team. But this time is for those guys to go out there and make a mark and make an impression on the coaches of, hey, I should be a second or third teamer type guy. And then once again, we know with injuries, those second teamers become first teamers real quick. And so the coaches are saying, listen, we got to get these guys reps, get them caught up to speed to make sure they're dialed in and locked in case something happens. And so spring ball was always fun because you got to see some of the younger guys who just got done redshirting or that were on the scout team the prior year. Now they get to go out there and actually play. Now they get to go out there and run their offense or run the defense versus running scout. And so it's kind of a rewarding time for those younger guys to come up and like I said, leave their mark.
I want to tag on to something you mentioned. You said the transfer portal guys. We had Gary Bohannon, the new quarterback, via Baylor, South Florida, now BYU. He was in the studio with us a couple weeks ago. He seemed legitimately excited to get spring ball going, and that makes sense for him, right? For him, how important is this spring for him?
I think it's huge. I mean, you talk about the quarterback position, having to learn an entire new offense. Spring ball is huge for him. And that's what I said. Transfer portal guys is different, right? If you're trying to be a starter, the transfer portal guys, this is your time to learn the playbook and get valuable reps, especially as a quarterback. Live reps against a defense with guys flying around. Yeah, you need those. And so I'm really anxious for him. I'm anxious for this quarterback room. I think it's a wide open race. And I think if you're the coach, if you're A-Rod, you let the players know it's going to stay open. Frankly, I think you see how it goes all the way through the summer and into fall ball. I don't think there's any reason you need to name a quarterback anytime soon and let this play out because, listen, this is an audition, not for just spring ball and these limited amount of practices. The coaches will be watching during those summer player run practices. Who are the guys showing up? Who are the leaders? Who are the natural born leaders, the captains who are going to lead these guys out there during player run practices? Who's going to be there every day for off-season, voluntary workouts, right? Who's going to be there? I'm really interested to see which of these guys step up. And I'll tell you what, competition only makes guys better, right? Iron sharpens iron. And I think this is one of those instances where that quarterback room, I'm sure it's very competitive, but those guys at the same time realize, listen, we're all aligned here. We're all trying to win for the same cause, and that's fight for the same cause, and that is to make this team successful. But I'm excited to see how this all plays out. And Gary, man, he has quite the opportunity ahead of him.
Yeah, let's talk about culture a little bit. You talked about the players on their own in the summer. The culture setting kind of starts January 1. As soon as the season's over, everybody's back for school. The transfers that are going to be here are already here. But spring ball, they kind of put the foot on the gas when it comes to creating culture. How important is it? I mean, the defense, this is year 2 of this defense, so they can just start running stuff. They don't have to worry about walking through every assignment like they did last spring, right? So can they focus a little bit more on culture? And how important is culture in the offseason to whether or not you're successful in the fall?
Yeah, culture's huge. It's always interesting because when the season ends, the guys that play on the season still kind of hang around. They kind of clean out their lockers, but they still come around because a lot of them are still trained to go to the NFL, right? And so a lot of them they stay in Provo and they train in Provo. A lot of them go elsewhere as well. So they're still around. But all of a sudden when the new year rolls around, especially when spring ball rolls around, it's a new team. And it's always interesting to see like who becomes those leaders, those position group leaders. Typically you have your captains kind of set in stone. The juniors who are major contributors now become seniors. Those are the ones that are expected to be the captains. But then you look at the position groups. You look at offensive line. You've got some departure with Kingsley and others that leave some voids. And so who steps up in that room? And all of a sudden the quarterback room, there's Keaton Slovis leaves, and all of a sudden who's the guy? And so it's really, really interesting to watch. Just the dynamic. You go into weightlifting sessions and you see who's kind of being more vocal and being a leader there. Then you go out on the field and maybe it's a different guy out on the field. But at the end of the day, as a player, you always respect the guys who actually can walk the walk. There's a lot of guys that can talk the talk, but at the end of the day, who are the players who can go out there and actually know their assignment and go out there and perform on the field? And that also can be kind of that rah-rah guy. And so that's where you start to separate it. There's a lot of guys that talk the talk, but then the second you get on the field, they maybe can't quite perform the way they should be. And so that's where the leaders start to kind of come and go. And so you really want to try and find those guys obviously can do both. And that's what the spring ball is for. And then lead, like I said, lead into the summertime and lead up to the fall ball.
I'm going to put you on the spot for a to-do list now. This was a 5-7 season last year. That's never acceptable at BYU to not be in a bowl game. Struggles, especially late on the defensive side, really pretty solid early in the year. Some injuries, and they struggled down the stretch a little bit. Really inconsistent play at quarterback once Keaton Slovis got hurt. So those are some things top of my mind. But if you're going to give me 4 things that would be the to-do list for spring ball, what would they be?
Well, I think first and foremost, there's no secret here. It's all about the quarterback play, right? Who will be BYU's guy? And listen, maybe there is a scenario where A-Rod decides to trot out 2 quarterbacks in kind of a dual system. I feel like those never really worked that well. But, I'll defer to him on that. Mm-hmm. But find out your true quarterback, because I am a believer that you've got to have a single quarterback, a starter that the team can rally around, right? You need the guy to take those number 1 reps against the number 1 defense to get good looks and kind of obviously make him better. So I start with the quarterback room. I'm going to flip-flop. I'll flip-flop between offense and defense. So number 1 is quarterback room.
For so give us, so your number 1 D1 is what then?
My number 1 D1 for me, when you look back at the last season and what BYU really struggled with, yes, they weren't great against the pass rush, but they really struggled stopping the run. And they mostly struggled against stopping the powers and counters. So any type of pulling guards or tackles, BYU really struggled. And we talked about this on AFR, right? And we talked about this on our pre- and post-game shows. BYU opted last year to go with a spill technique. And they just couldn't quite pick it up. You look back at that West Virginia game, the Iowa State game, where every run was for 8 yards plus, and guys just weren't in the right position. So my hope in this offseason is, listen, if you want to stick with the spill technique, fine. I'm fine with that. I played the spill technique. It works if guys are in the right spots. And so if you want to stick with that, I just want them to get valuable reps and have the number 1 offense run some of this to where they understand where their fits are, because you can't go into another season and have games like West Virginia and Iowa State where you get blown out in the run game. We're not even talking about TCU and Texas, but in the run game specifically, where you just couldn't stop them because you weren't in the right positions. Guys weren't filling correctly. You had 2 guys in the wrong gaps, and all of a sudden the running back exploits you. So for me, the second glaring item that I want to see fixed in camp is understanding run fits, specifically against the counters and powers. Okay,
so stop the run, especially the power and counter. Know where you're supposed to be and know those run fits. I'm all in on that one for the D. Okay, now you got another offense.
Now we'll go back to the offside of the ball. And for me, I'm really intrigued this spring ball of seeing how the transition of Keanu Hill goes to tight end.
Oh.
And you watch what happened last year with the time position, started to get a little more utilized than what we've seen in the past. But then you have, Isaac Rex moves on. So now there's a position open in that tight end room. I'm really curious to see how Keanu Hill transitions. I trust the coaches that they're doing the right thing and put him in that position. It sounds like he's added some weight. I'm excited to see him here in spring ball. But I'm really anxious to see if you split him out and with that extra weight and that size that he has, he's a mismatch. And we talk about that all the time. That's how Isaac Rex was. He's a mismatch. But the question is, can he learn the offense? And can he also, if you're a tight end, if you're Keanu Hill, you got to be able to block as well. And so my biggest thing is, can he block? Can you motion him down, put him as a wing, and help Max Pro? And can he actually get the job done? Usually receivers aren't fantastic blockers, but I'm curious to see if they can get him up and going with the tight position and help him understand the scheme and how to protect and how to block and be physical. Man, what a position change for somebody, because I think he obviously has the intangibles. He has the height. He has the speed. Can he pick up the blocking side of things? Otherwise, he just becomes really another receiver. If all he's going to do is go out for passes, then as a defense, I'm not even going to count him as a tight end. I'll just continue to count him as a wide receiver, and it doesn't really throw the defense for a loop. But if you can get him to block a little bit, then you have to account for him, and that kind of sets a whole new strategy when you approach the offense. Yeah,
you'll. I don't know if you got to see the Connor Pay interview, and for our folks on the chat, if you haven't seen Connor Pay's interview, he talks last week about Keanu, and the thing that was really interesting to me, he said Keanu's body wants to be the tight end size. Like he's been almost like a wrestler, just like having to suck weight to play wide receiver. His body wants to be 245. I thought, that's a good thing. And then he said he was the best wide receiver blocker on the team. So that was positive. And he also said, but he seems to have kept his speed as he put the weight on. And I thought, wow, he just told me 3 good things. So now I'm with you. I'm really anxious to see how that works out. If Connor's right and those 3 things are good, this could be a really dynamic position for BYU. And they have a new tight end coach in Kevin Gilbride that really is going to be forceful with them using that. He's been in the NFL where they utilize tight ends. So that's I've been thinking about that, but I'm glad you brought that up. We'll all be watching for tight end in spring ball and see how they utilize it. That's a good one.
I'm excited to see his development for sure.
So you got quarterback play on the offense and tight end play on the offense. You're going to watch really closely. Who's the guy at quarterback? How's this Keanu Hill move going to? You got stop the run and run fits against the power and counter. On defense, what's your second defensive one?
I'm going to stick there in the front 7, and I'm going to specifically outline the linebackers. And the reason being is, BYU with what's going on with Ben Bywater coming back was a positive indicator. You've also got Jack Kelly coming in. This is one of those transfers that I really think, all signs indicate that he could be one of the dudes on the defense side of the ball. Harrison Taggart coming back, who had valuable minutes last year. I mean, there's a lot of playmakers within that linebacker room. You throw in Raider DeMooney, who I know is playing safety, but he looked good coming down to the box. Mm-hmm. And does he make a transition down? And so for me, that linebacker room, because if you're going to play a spill technique like we saw last year, we just talked about earlier, you got to have linebackers that can scrape and guys that can run and be physical to point of contact. And so for me, it is the development of these linebackers. How does Ben Bywater fit into the mold of things? Taggart, Kelly, et cetera, and kind of who evolves to be the guy, right? I mean, you had years with Max Tooley and others who kind of left their mark on the program. The question is now kind of who takes that torch and can these guys stay healthy? I really feel like Ben Bywater had such a fantastic season going last year and then got bit by the injury bug. And so can these guys stay healthy and can they help that defensive line? Which, by the way, I didn't really touch on this, but that defensive line via the transfer portal and newcomers looks pretty stout. I'm liking the addition.
They brought some monsters in, right? Yeah, monsters.
We've talked about this for years, right? I know we go back for many years saying BYU need to go get depth on that defensive line, and they never quite did it. And finally, this class was a class where they went and got some help. And that front 7 is something that, for me defensively, I'm not worried about the secondary. I know we had Eddie and Garrett left, but I think BYU will fit in. They had some young corners that will fit in well. You got Micah Harper back, et cetera. But for me, it really starts with that front 7, just kind of how things played out last year defensively.
Yeah, they're deep back there. Hey, one comment on that. I went back and watched some film of this Jack Kelly. Oh, Dave, you're going to love him. Because he is, how we talk about guys like Aaron Francisco. Do you play with Aaron, didn't you? Did you play with Aaron?
I played with Aaron.
When he comes down and hits somebody, it's like, oh, yikes. Like, he's like a pillar of cement going to hit somebody. He's just so dense and thick. When I'm watching him, that's what I think of. He just smacks people. And I know you love linebackers that just hit the what out of people, right?
Well, and here's the thing about when you get guys that are headed downhill that are willing to just, like you said, smack guys at point of contact, it sets the tone, right? It creates an identity for a defense. And frankly, that was something that was lacking last year. This defense didn't really have an identity, mainly because they were getting gashed game in and game out. And yes, they had some bright spots with this defense. And listen, I know that for a fact that Coach Hill, he needs to get his dues in there. And it's going to take probably another year. I don't know if he'll quite have a system to where he wants it this year. It's probably going to take him at least another year to get his guys in here into his system. And I'm confident when he does have all his guys there, they'll be rolling. But I like the steps that were made this offseason and bringing in the portal guys, that they finally had time to go out there and look at who they needed. They assessed their needs, and they were able to address those with the portal guys and with the newcomers. And, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for this defense. But that front 7 specifically, they've got to be more stout. Because Big 12, they're going to go back and watch this film, all the teams they play, and they're going to say, listen, let's try to exploit them with the run game. And if BYU can kind of stop that from the get-go, man, it makes the other team one-dimensional and gives them a shot.
Yeah, I like your takes on your to-do list. Those are great. Hey, former Cougar and current BYU TV football analyst Dave Nixon on the Wise Guys live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com with me tonight. The alumni game's coming up, March 22nd. Are you playing in this thing?
So I am. I actually have a newborn child coming next Wednesday.
Yes, let's talk about both of them. Let's talk about both of those things.
Yeah,
then, right.
So I am going to play in it. I actually recruited Craig Bills, my brother-in-law, this year. I was going to recruit Taysom, my other brother-in-law, but I figured he probably needs to focus on just getting healthy.
If he got hurt at this, you would be in big trouble. So.
Yeah, I'll stay away from that one. So Craig's going to come. I'm going to try to play. I don't know how much working out I'll be getting in the next few weeks after my baby comes. So I might be coming in a little raw. I might take some reps off and just kind of help coach from the sideline. We'll see what happens. I'll be a game time decision on that. But yeah, it should be fun. Listen, it's a fun time of the year, the Alumni Day, bringing back all alumni. And this alumni game has been a blast. In fact, we're already on a text thread, and everybody's on the same text thread. So between
both teams, right? Who are some of the? Throw out a few names so people can get excited about this.
Well, you got Max, who's coming back.
Oh yeah, back from the Achilles. Yeah.
We got James Lark. We got Ben Criddle, of course. Criddle's going to run his mouth on the thread.
Oh,
we've already got some
of course.
Going. Curtis Brown, as I mentioned, you got Craig Bills. Man, you got some of the older guys that have come back, Charlie Peterson and others. So it's gonna be fun. Brian Keel, of course. After you catch the Hail Mary win, you're automatically a lifetime player in this game. So
you guys need to recruit Kellen to come out, because poor Gavin last year. He's coaching, and he had to kind of come off the coaching bench to come play because we didn't have enough safeties back there, and had to go make a bunch of plays.
Yeah, we need Kellen. Yeah. Listen, tell him to talk to Jack DeMooney, who sets this all up.
Yep, I'll talk to him.
Tell him to get Kellen. I need him back, my free safety, so my strong safety, so we can kind of go back to our old
calls.
days.
You can make all your calls like you.
All
and
my
me,
calls,
yes.
my checks, everything. It was nice to have Kellen. He's my little cozy comfort blanket behind me, looking at all those checks for me.
Okay, now let's go to the most important thing. You're expecting your fourth child. How's Jesse doing? And you know that this is a boy, right?
Yep. Another boy.
So tell us what are we expecting? How's everybody doing? And do we have a name yet?
We're excited. She's at the point where she's ready to just have this little guy come out. We still don't have a name picked, so all you listeners out there, if you want to submit some names,
throw some names for the Nixon baby boy on chat. Please do it. We'll
throw it on the chat.
We'll forward it all.
Twitter, whatever you want. We need some suggestions. We are. I want to go maybe kind of like initials. I want to incorporate my dad's middle name into my son's middle name, which is Johnson. So I love DJ or AJ. I kind of had a little fix on the initials. My wife didn't love it, so we're back to ground zero here. But
hey, our technical director is DJ, and he's awesome. So you can name after DJ.
DJ's a strong name.
Yes,
I like that. My firstborn, I gave him my name as his middle name, Nathan David.
There you go.
I don't want to give too many kids my name. That's a little egotistical there, but any help, I much appreciate. We're kind of at a point where we're not sure where we're going with this little guy's name, but we're excited. This is our fourth and last, and so we're going to enjoy the moment, and we're excited to meet him next Wednesday. We've got it all scheduled and ready to go.
So last, and I'm going to get you going because you came on early with us so that you could go catch your son's basketball game. Last question, and you can do it quickly, but I want you to wax philosophical here. How did football prepare you for this, to be a dad, to be a father and a husband, and have 4 kids now? What did football do to prepare you for that?
I mean, there's so many parallels here. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is just juggling things, right? As a father, we're all, I say we, I'm talking to the whole audience, all of us. You're trying to juggle work, you're trying to juggle church duties, you're trying to juggle your family. And that's how it was at football. Football, you still had school you had to worry about and juggle that. You still had your personal life, you had to juggle that. And football, I think beyond that, just the team camaraderie and the aspect that you're fighting together as a team is the same thing as a family, right? As a family, you're solidified together at this common goal, this common belief, which is to succeed, right? And it's the same thing with football. Football, you're out there as a team, a unit, your brotherhood, right? We call it the band of brothers. And it truly is that. And we see that now at the alumni game. These band of brothers, these are guys who I played with almost 15 years ago that are coming back, and we get to enjoy this time together. It's because we share that common bond. That's the same thing as a father. You have these little guys, these little kids that depend and rely on you, and you share that common bond where you're just trying to do your best every day. And so fatherhood and football go hand in hand. And it's I got my little guys playing football.
Yes.
They're playing tackle football as well. And so it's been fun to kind of get back to them and see them enjoy it, and it's been a blast.
The life is full circle. Well said, Dave. We appreciate you so much. Get off and go. Which boy's playing tonight?
I got both of them playing.
Oh, okay.
So I got my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old both playing here in just a little bit. So I'm gonna go try to catch both their games. So always fun jumping on with you guys.
We always love you coming on and throwing a little wisdom our way. We appreciate it. We'll see you at the alumni game. Again, when we kick off the season in July for our 11th season of After Further Review. Thanks so much, Dave. We'll see you.
Always fun. Thanks.
Our thanks to Dave Nixon for joining us. And he was going to come on live, and then he realized this is true, being a true dad. He realized I got both boys playing basketball tonight. Can we do it just before the show starts and tape it? And so we were just on with him just before the show. So good to have Dave with us. He's so knowledgeable about a lot of things, but man, he really knows the game of football, and he knows defense like nobody's business. And it's been really fun to work with Dave for the last 11 years on After Further Review and all the game day shows. And I wish we could take a camera in with us when we're not on the air, when we're getting ready or when we're watching the game, when we're doing a pre and post game show, because that's where we really have fun. It's just so fun to hang out with guys that know the game so well, where we just break it down together. And maybe we'll have to do like a watch show this fall where we do a live stream of us watching the game and breaking it down and getting ready to do our post game show. That would be really, really fun. Let me know if you think that would be a fun thing to do. So thanks to our buddy Dave Nixon. A couple of you came in the chat late and said, hey, what is this about the new rules in college football? So I wanted to just go back and just briefly tell you what those are. They're proposing, and they have to vote on it on April 18th, a 2-minute warning, just like the National Football League. So the 2-minute warning before halftime and a 2-minute warning before the end of the game gives it extra timeout. They wouldn't take any timeouts away. I like the idea because it kind of signals this is the home stretch. Let's go. And then the second one I really, really support, and that is communications from a coach directly to one player on the field at a time. So on offense, obviously your quarterback. On defense, it could be a safety or a middle backer, somebody that's making the play calls out there, that would be turned off 15 seconds before the end of the play clock or the snap of the football, whichever came first. So similar to the National Football League, the technology is tested and proven. So I'm not worried about the technology, and it eliminates all of this nonsense and extracurricular work on signs and signals and all of this stuff and trying to get that into the game. I don't know why college football didn't go to this earlier. So let me know what you guys think out there. If you like this idea, a couple of you in the chat have said, hey, I like this. This is good. This is good. So we appreciate you asking again, and we'll try to give you what you're asking for here. Let's talk a little BYU men's basketball here for just a minute, as Noah Hartsock is going to join us in just a few minutes, and as soon as he gets in, we'll bring him on the show. But BYU AP Top 25 comes out on Mondays. It just came out this morning. BYU goes from unranked, first team out at 26, to number 20, which is about the jump we thought they would take with the kind of week they had this last week. In the coaches poll, they moved back in to number 23. In the ESPN Power Rankings, they move up to number 19, and ESPN tabbed the Kansas win, the win of the week in college basketball. So that was pretty cool. Their net ranking is right at 12. It stayed pretty steady even with the 2 wins. KenPom, which is another one of the rating services or metrics that they use for the tournament seeding, they're 16 in KenPom. Joe Lunardi has them today a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, and he has them playing in the first round in Salt Lake City, Utah. How about that? Would y'all get out there and watch them if they were in Salt Lake City? I think they'd have a huge home court advantage. In the Big 12 currently, BYU is tied for 4th place now. They're tied with Texas Tech and Kansas. They're 4 games out of first and 5 games out of last. Keep in mind, in this conference tournament, the top 4 teams get double byes into the Big 12 tournament. Right now, the way the standings sit, Houston's in first at 13-3. Iowa State, who BYU plays on Wednesday, is at 12-4. Baylor's at 10-6. And then you have BYU, Kansas, and Texas Tech all at 9-7. And if you remember, those 3 teams that are tied all just played each other once. So BYU, they won at Kansas, so they have tiebreaker versus Kansas, but they lost to Texas Tech. So Texas Tech has a tiebreaker, and they won against TCU, so they have tiebreaker there. The league says that if the tournament started today, BYU would be the 5 seed, tied for 4th, because of the tiebreaker that Texas Tech has and would be 4th. So a lot has to play out. If BYU wins these next 2 games, I think that they would have a great shot to be the 4th seed, and there's even an outside chance they could be the 3rd seed. So a great week, and a lot of BYU in the national news. People talking about BYU in their first year in the Big 12. It's been fantastic, and who better to bring to the show right now to talk about the BYU Cougars and college basketball than Noah Hartsock. It's our pleasure to welcome former BYU basketball star, the man who helped make NCAA tournament history the year he started alongside Jimmer Fredette. Let's say hello to our friend Noah Hartsock from Las Vegas. Noah, how are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, Dave is trying to make his way somewhere close to you. He's traveling with the baseball team. They were supposed to be there. But unlike you and unlike me, who covered Vegas for work for 17 years, and unlike Dave, who lived in Vegas, evidently the bus driver doesn't know all the shortcuts that you and I and Dave know.
There's some tricky roads down here.
Yeah.
Your way.
So he's caught in traffic. So you're stuck with me tonight, but that's okay. You and I have known each other a long time, and I'm so grateful that you would join the Wise Guys tonight and bring us your basketball expertise. As a former player, longtime high school coach, what is it about March and basketball that makes the world so much better?
You know, it is probably the most exciting time, you know, as a player or being around it, because it's just that energy you feel. It's that chance where you're putting, 64 teams against each other, and it's just one game, 40 minutes. If you could beat your opponent, you're moving on, you're advancing. And really, that's how you remember a lot of these teams is, hey, they went to the Sweet 16, they're Elite 8, Final Four team, or they upset this. And even though you might have had a year, you might have been like 18-12, but you go to the Elite 8, I mean, you remember it as a great team. And it's really these next couple of weeks that really define it.
And it's really only college basketball that has this. Like, college football's been missing out. I don't know why they haven't figured this out sooner. They're going to go to 12 teams this next year. But how have they not figured out that this couple of weeks just catches the excitement of the entire country? Work productivity goes down during March Madness, does it not?
I mean, there's nothing else to do. I mean, it's the excitement. I know with my group of friends, we'll probably take off the next couple weekends, not work as late, and try to catch as many games as possible. But it's just one of those where there's not much else in the sports world. I mean, NBA is still going through the regular season. Hockey's kind of winding down, but it really is for those couple weeks. It's just the focus where you could just watch games, have that excitement, especially here in Las Vegas, where it's just, becoming a sports capital of the world, where it draws a lot of people, and it's a lot of fun down here.
Yeah, we were just watching a Netflix special live yesterday with Nadal and Alcaraz, or Rafa and Alcaraz playing at the Mandalay, and now it's becoming the tennis center of the world, for Pete's sakes. You are really in the mecca of big time sports right now in Vegas. It's got to be fun being down there when all of this is going on.
It is really cool. I mean, when we got the Knights for the NHL, I mean, that place, everyone just turned up for it. They were excited for it. And their first year, I mean, they went to the Western Conference Finals, and nobody really expected much. And now it's developed. The Aces have just been dominating here, winning WNBA titles. We're hopefully we'll get the A's or some Major League Baseball team here, and then pretty soon I bet we'll get NBA, and it just keeps growing and going. So it's exciting times here in Vegas, and we got a lot of fun venues to be at.
That's good stuff. Hey, you played at an unbelievably high level at college basketball. You coached at the high school level. Which was harder to do, to play at that level, or to try to teach these kids how to play at a high level with all of those years of coaching you did?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I was really blessed. We have 2 guys right now that are in the NBA that I got to coach.
Wow.
At Centennial here in Las Vegas. We got Troy Brown. He was a McDonald's All-American, and he ended up playing in Oregon. He's been around a couple of NBA teams, got traded. He's with the Pistons now. And then Orlando Robinson, who's with the Miami Heat, backup big man for them, played at Fresno State. But, I mean, we had a wealth of talent. So we might have had a little advantage with some of the guys that we had, but I think definitely conveying to guys the work ethic and everything, it was hard, but I don't miss those practices with Coach Rose sometimes, those early season up and down the court. I miss playing the games, but yeah, practices, those were quite a trip sometimes.
Well, it's the last week of the regular season now for BYU. Speaking of BYU, their first Big 12 tournament coming up. You're on the first Cougar team to play in the WCC. So you experienced a bunch of firsts that year. You know, your first regular season in the WC, your first WCC tournament. What are the challenges of navigating through all of those firsts in a new league?
It's just the newness of it all. New venues, new travel schedules, just getting used to it. You know, when I played Mountain West, it was, hey, we play in, you know, we know where at Laramie, we know, Colorado Springs, we know all these different areas and what to expect. But then when we went to the West Coast, it was like, oh, wow, it's, February and it's 70 degrees in California instead of negative 20 in Laramie. And so just adjusting to those places. And I think it comes as an advantage and also a disadvantage because you're going to play these teams. They don't know how you play. They don't know your style. They don't really know your personnel as well. And so you kind of had advantage that ways. But at the same time, playing against teams, different style, different mentality. I remember playing St. Mary's for the first time at their place. And I tell you, that was probably one of the toughest opponents, most physical game I'd ever been a part of, and just getting used to that and playing that style. And I'm sure the Cougars, right now playing the Big 12, they're used to, this is a different style, different way they ref, different personalities out there. So kind of navigating those waters. So there are some advantages to that, and your opponents really don't know you, and also some disadvantages in the fact where it's like, hey, we got to adjust to this quick and on the fly to be successful.
Yeah, I have an interesting thought, and I want to run it by you. And I know, you know me. You'll just say, Blaine, that's crazy. Or you'll say, yeah, you might be onto something. We did like the first 11 or 12 games for BYU, and every opposing coach said the same thing when we were interviewing them on shoot-around day. And they said, this is really difficult for us because we have to completely change our defense. BYU doesn't play offensively like anybody we play in this league. And so we have to come with something completely different. And it's a completely different scout. And so it's new for us. And they're a new team in the league, but not only are they new, but they don't do what anybody else does. With the way they play 5 out, especially when Khalifa's in the game, it really creates problems for us. But I got thinking about this. Is the thing I want to ask you, if this is a thing or not. Remember that old segment in David Letterman? Is this a thing? I want to know if this is a thing. When BYU now goes out, I'm watching them in the first half of these last 2 games, and TCU defensively does something to BYU they haven't done to anybody all season long. Does it affect BYU that these teams are designing a defense special for them? And so you noticed, Noah, when BYU was coming off of a ball screen, they were immediately doubling the guy with the ball every time, jumping him and extending it to the sideline. They don't do that normally. Does that make it equally difficult for BYU? Brand new defense. They're playing a team that they've seen. They think they've got them scouted, but their scout's not right because the team's doing something completely different. How do you manage that? And is that a thing?
I really do think it is. This is something I was thinking because, I grew up in Oklahoma, the Midwest, and Big 12 basketball was, what we watched and what we knew. And it was, you got 2 big guys that are going to screen and roll and set picks, and we're going to guard half court. We don't run as much. And it's true. BYU, you're watching film preparing, okay, this is the way, Iowa State's going to guard these ball screens. But then you get in the game and they have to adjust because, BYU got 5 guys out, 5 guys can shoot, 5 guys that can spread the floor. And it really is an adjustment that you have to make in game. And I think this is where, the coaching staff has done a really good job of preparing, their guys to get ready for, hey, they might blitz this ball screen. They might hedge it hard. Here's some options we can look at to make plays out of. And, it's one of those things that, I mentioned earlier, just those 2 different variations of, they've never seen BYU. This is a whole different style. And they got to adjust to it. And I think it's hard because they're so used to, you've got a Hunter Dickerson who's guarding the ball and used to guarding ball screens, but now, hey, I got to get out to the 5-man. He could put on the floor and he can shoot. And it just makes it harder for teams to defend.
Yeah, and BYU in that last game, I thought they did a magnificent job. I want to get your take on this. When they finally figured out what TCU was doing, and it threw them off a little bit, and they got down and they missed some shots. they played Foose way more minutes probably than they planned. And they said, listen, if they're going to do that, Foose, you come out and set the screen, and then you go ahead and you slip the screen, and let's go get the ball into the paint. And then we're going to create rotations, and they're going to have problems, and then we're going to get open threes. It was a masterful adjustment. And then TCU didn't adjust to the adjustment. And then the wheels came off and BYU just ran them out. What's your thought on that strategy change? And can they continue to do this? Can they get behind in games and keep coming back?
I think so. It's a luxury I think they really have. You got a big man that can, and the Khalifa who can step out, make incredible passes, knock down shots. And then, if we're going to double hard and we're going to stay home to shooters, you got Foose who can roll, who's got incredible hands, who can finish under the basket, who's strong underneath there, can hold his own. And so really it's, hey, you want to guard us and hedge hard? We're going to roll hard off the screen. We're going to look down low, finish down there. Or, hey, you're going to leave it. We're going to space. We're going to pop. It really is a luxury for BYU. And I think it's really served them well as they've kind of navigated these Big 12 waters and really found out a way, hey, we can win by playing different styles. We have different personnel for each defense that they throw at us. And, it's been really successful for them thus far.
Hey, what have you appreciated the most? I mean, this team goes out, they've got 4 wins against ranked opponents, 4 different ranked opponents. And, they play in the likes of Kansas and Texas and Iowa State and Baylor and San Diego State. Is there something you've appreciated the most about watching them this season?
I would say this team, I really appreciate the growth and grind they put in this summer. Because this was a team, finished 6th in the WCC last year with basically who they have now. They've come out, you could see the growth in the summer. A lot of these guys, hey, the first year, welcome to college basketball. If it's difficult, it's hard. And the time and effort they put in this summer, a couple times, get seen most summer, hey, they're working hard, they're putting in time and effort, we're working out extremely hard. And it's really paying dividends now because it's the same guys, but they've gotten smarter, they've gotten stronger, physical. They really focus on their craft and what they do really well. And that's the thing I just appreciate. Just any player in general in any sport is you go out there, get your lumps, get beat up that first year. But now look at them. They're playing with confidence. They're playing with skill. They're playing with a ton of effort and grit. I mean, watching Richie Saunders, that guy, he did not back down against any of those TCU defenders, just grabbing rebounds, getting every loose ball, just holding on to it. That's really impressive and fun to watch on this team.
We were loving watching. I had Dave Nixon on the show just before Noah, and we were talking some football because it's spring ball. And between us, we decided that Richie Saunders is the Taysom Hill of basketball. He'll just do whatever it takes. He'll do anything he needs to do to help his team win, which is really fun. You compare somebody to Taysom, that's saying something, right? So, hey, we've got former BYU star Noah Hartsock on the Wise Guys with us tonight. Noah played in 134 games between 2008 and 2012, 98 starts, and yes, that includes the Jimmer Mania time. And Noah, as I'm reintroducing you, I'm going to bring our Vegas buddy in, finally, who has made it on the team bus to his hotel and in a place. Dave McCann, we got you out there. Are you there with us?
I'm working on it.
There he is. There's Dave.
Can you hear me okay?
There he is. So,
this used to be my town, and now that it's your town, the traffic has got completely haywire.
Hey, I invite anybody who wants to come here. It goes crazy, man.
I love it.
What did I miss? I'm sorry, I just got on.
I was just going to ask Noah. We were just talking about his track record: 134 games, 98 starts, kind of in the middle of Jimmer Mania when he was there. I was going to ask him what it's like to have a front row seat for Jimmer Mania, but also to be a big-time starter, a big-time contributor, somebody that was expected to do a lot out there, all of that all at the same time. What was that time like for you at BYU?
I really didn't, to tell you the truth, I didn't expect to go to BYU. If I tell you, when I was getting recruited, I always thought I was going to go play at Utah. They came out, they were like,
what?
Hey, yes, that was my first thought. And then they actually pulled their scholarship away from me and gave it to Daniel Dean. I don't know if you remember that guy.
Yes.
At Salt Lake City. So they're a mistake, I'll tell you that. But it was an unbelievable run. I mean, you think about the players we had. I mean, obviously Jimmer, who had an incredible career, but I mean, we had Tyler Haws during that time, all-time leading scorer, Kyle Collinsworth, triple-double machine. Brandon Davies, NBA guy, Jonathan Tavinari, Jackson Emery. I mean, list goes on and on. We had such talented players during that time that I think that's what made it so fun and competitive is we had guys that really bought into the system, worked extremely hard. A great coaching staff too. I mean, during my time, think of, Dave Rose, obviously, but Dave Rice, who went to go on and be head coach at UNLV, Mark Pope was there, a part of the staff, Tim Lacombe, Terry Nashif. I mean, just great coaches as well during that time. And it was crazy. You think about watching Jimmer and you think about all the NIL money we missed out on.
Oh, man.
That's the bummer. But those experiences were great. And, watching him, I mean, he was a humble, good guy. Jimmer was. Just me and him, we actually were locker buddies next to each other. And so, nothing really changed with him in the way he played and the way he acted. So it was an incredible time in those 4 years.
Was there a moment where you're out there standing next to him and it hits you that this dude's a rock star and you're playing the electric guitar right next to him in the same band?
Well, a lot of times I was just begging for the ball. Just give me a shot. Just give me. No, I mean, there were just times when especially I remember at Utah game his senior year where I remember he had a half-court shot in halftime and he shot it, and you're just looking. It's like, oh, that's going in. That's a regular shot. That's money right there. And I remember also the TCU game at TCU, and we probably had, I don't know, 75-80% of the fans there were for us, and we were leaving the game to get on the bus, and they had to escort us out. Police had to escort us out because they were probably, no kidding, 1,000, 2,000 people just waiting afterwards, just get pictures and autographs, going to hotels. People would know we'd come there, and they'd have basketballs out there, ask for autographs, and it was a wild time.
It's fun stuff. The question that we keep asking ourselves is the world ready for Jimmermania again? Because Jimmer's going to be in the Olympics this summer in Paris in the 3-on-3 competition. Is the world ready for this again?
I think they're going to be excited. I already made up my Jimmermania T-shirts to sell. So we're going to sell a bunch of those, but I'm excited for that. And, it's pretty awesome to say, go to Olympics and, I think they have a really good chance of winning the gold medal. And so that I think the world is ready for it and, kind of spark it again.
Hey, here's something a lot of people have forgotten about. The year after Jimmer graduated, your BYU team went 29-9 and went back to the NCAA tournament again. And you were an integral part about that. You would have fit in on this year's BYU team because you're a big that could go out and stretch out defenses and be a mismatch and knock shots down from the outside and go inside. People forget about that. What was that year like and going back to the NCAA tournament?
It was an interesting year because we started that year. We lost at Utah State. And we were just trying to kind of find our footing of, okay, who's going to kind of be the guys, what's going to happen here. Matt Carlino couldn't play for halfway through the year. So we're trying to figure out the point guard role. Like Brock Zylstra's playing it and Anson Winder and Craig Cusick. And so we were just trying to find, I think those first couple games, what our team is, what it's going to be like. But no, I think it kind of clicked. Kind of when I think middle of the season where we beat Virginia Tech, beat Gonzaga, and we're kind of on a roll here and figure that out. And it was a, fun time and a team that, just kind of gritted through it and made it happen. And, it was great going back to the tournament and competing in that.
What was the difference for you when you're Jimmer's teammate, he's the guy, the very next year, you're the guy, you're the leading scorer on the team. You had a good team there and Brandon was back, but when they needed points, they went to you and suddenly you were the man. What was it like to be that?
I don't know. I just tried not to miss shots because that was the thing. But no, it was a really committee. I think, me, Brandon, Charles, Matt, Carlin, we just trying to kind of figure out, okay, what's going to work. And it's funny, Terry Nashif, he was our offensive coach that year. And I remember times when I wouldn't shoot, he'd call plays for me and I wouldn't shoot. He'd call timeout. He'd sit me down. He'd be like, Noah, the play works a lot better when you just shoot the ball. So just shoot it. So I had to get that back figured out because I was so used to, hey, let me set a good screen here. Where's Jimmer at? Let's find him. And so it was kind of making that adjustment to it. but no, it's just, I think playing that many years and just having that confidence and realizing, it's time to step up. I think that's really just kind of where it all unfolded that last year.
Hey, Noah Hartsock is on the Wise Guys tonight. Noah averaged 16.8 points, 5 rebounds during his senior season, which included wins against Oregon, Baylor, Utah, and Gonzaga. And by the way, tonight on this show, Noah is the man. Is the entire Hartsock family on the chat? What in the world is going on right now? So here's the ones that I've noted, and I can only see what's on the screen, but Leslie's in the house, Daniel's in the house, Carter's in the house, James Lee's in the house, Jeremiah's in the house. Am I missing any Hartsocks out there? It's Les Namagat down in Santa Fe, Mexico. Our world famous artist just said, Hartsock's officially a nation. Is it officially a nation, the Hartsock Nation?
Yeah, but they get on there. They're supportive, I'll tell you what. And I know my kids are watching too. They probably want to shout out.
So,
David Jade and Corey.
Hey, Hartsock Nation, we appreciate you bringing the attendance up tonight. Make sure you just join us every week. We're talking basketball and stuff with fun people every week. Even when Noah's not here, you guys are welcome to come back. So,
subscribe.
No, we wanted to talk a little bit about history with you. So, let's go Dateline, March 13th, 2012. It's a Tuesday night in Dayton, Ohio. BYU's playing in the first 4 against Iona, and the Gales take a 49-24 lead into halftime. People keep talking about these last 2 games. You guys are down 25. What's going on in that locker room at halftime, down 25?
I don't know if you want to know what's going on in that locker room.
Yeah, you don't have to say the words, but you can, describe the feeling.
It was one of those where, they shot out of their mind. They came in there, they were hitting everything. I think I remember it was almost 70% from field. And we had some good looks and just nothing falling. But, Coach Rose is just saying, guys, little by little, let's chip away. Let's go on a 6-2 run here. Let's go on a 7-3 run. And I think that's kind of where we started just clamping down. He just told us they're not going to shoot that well for this remainder of this game. And it was just one of those where we just started hitting shots and things were going our way. And it's the madness of March is, hey, this is our last chance. Let's go at it. And I remember, it's funny, during that game, I actually blew out my shoe, I think in the second half. Like Zion Williamson did a couple of years ago at Duke. He had to leave. Yeah. I stayed in the game, and I wanted to finish.
With a blown-out shoe?
With a blown-out shoe. I didn't realize it. My foot is sliding so much that I didn't realize. Then in timeout, I looked down, and I'm like, oh, I blew out half my shoe. And so we just put a little tape on it, went back out there, and finished the game.
Nuts.
Put some duct tape on it.
You didn't have an extra pair of shoes that they could give you? What's going on with BYU?
I tried to steal Nate Austin's, but his feet are size 18, so that didn't work for me.
Yeah, you have a boat, so you don't want to be in there.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So with the blown shoe, which is something we didn't know about, but get in the second half and start playing defense. Iona was held scoreless from the 17:20 mark to the 8:04 mark while you chipped away at things, which is incredible when you think about the kind of half they had in the first half. What was the feeling on the floor during this momentum shift where you're still down by a bunch, but now they're not scoring at all?
And it's that good feeling where you can look up at the scoreboard and it's like, oh, we're only a couple possessions away. And this is a bad thought, but I thought in my mind, hey, we're down, I think it was 4 at one point. And I'm like, oh, Coach Rose, he'll be proud of our effort, even if we don't win.
Oh, wow.
But we're like, no, we got to win this game. The way things are going, the momentum. And I remember DeMarcus Harrison had an incredible second half where he hit some big shots, some big steals for us, and he made some great plays. But I remember, I think it was a three-pointer that put us up that I hit. It was swung around. I caught it. It was supposed to get a catch in the post and do something, but a double team came, so I kicked it out, and I spaced out the three, and you could see the defense rotating, and the ball was about to pass away. And I swear, it might have been Mike Hall or Terry Nashif, but they just screamed, we're going to win this game. And the ball came, caught it, shot went up, we made it, we get up one, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, that was with 2:26 to go when you knocked that down to take the first lead in the game. And by the way, you had 17 in the second half. So you carried this team offensively in the second half. You go on to win 78-72. That is the greatest comeback when we talk about history in NCAA tournament history to advance to Thursday's first round against Marquette. What was that same locker room like after the game compared to what it was at halftime?
And that was some excitement there. I mean, it was before, people would bring cameras in there. You see all the water balls throwing up, but we were jumping. It's customary, Dave Rose, after every game. He runs in there. We all jump around and we go crazy after every game. And it was one of those where everyone is excited, ready to go. And it was one of those where it's like, man, that was amazing. We didn't know that was a record. It was actually, I think, Jim Nance, he called the game. He came out afterwards. And he was just standing outside the locker room. He's like, I didn't realize at the time, but that's the biggest comeback in NCAA history that you guys just performed. And it was like, man, that was awesome. That was incredible.
Noah Hartsock's on the Wise Guys tonight. We got two guys in Southern Nevada on Wise Guys tonight, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. So how often have you used that story as a motivational speech, whether to your former teams or to your youth group or the Elders Quorum? How much have you talked about that?
I use it for every church league basketball game that we're in. Get these guys excited for the season. I think my record in church league is 39-1, so we're doing all right there here in Las Vegas. But it's funny, I'll mention that, or a lot of times people just bring it up to me as like, oh man, that was a great game. You guys were awesome. And I was like, yeah, but we should have been a 5 seed that year. It's too bad we were 13 or whatever we were. But yeah, a lot of people still bring that up, but it's a fun moment.
What's so meaningful to a team, Noah, or for a program for that matter, to not only reach the NCAA tournament, but to advance, to win in advance?
It is one of those just unbelievable experiences, because it's one of those things, as a kid, I watched every year this tournament. And once you get there, it's almost like a whole different atmosphere. It's a whole different season where you have everybody watching you. Everybody is focused on this game. Everybody's has some type of skin in this game and wants you to do well or not do well. And it's crazy. It's something that, every year we went to is you just get goosebumps. You get those kind of feelings. It's like, man, I'm playing in this. I'm a part of this. And especially when you win in advance, it's unbelievable, because you think, wow, we're only 32 teams left playing in this, or we're only 16 teams left in the whole country out of 360 plus teams. And everybody's watching you, talking about you. You're the lead subject on ESPN, on every newspaper and everything. So that's a true excitement. I think I'm excited for the Cougars this year, barring something crazy. I mean, I think they're locked for the NCAA tournament this year. It is an experience I think they're going to love and be excited to be a part of.
What do you believe is ahead for these guys in the coming weeks?
I think they've done a great job really just figuring out this Big 12 conference. You got to go to Iowa State, which is going to be very difficult. I think, are they still undefeated at home? I think Iowa State is.
Yes.
And that's going to be a tough place to play. But, they've been in all these games. There's really hasn't been a thing, maybe except Oklahoma State, where they've kind of been there. But I think it's taking care of business, really scouting, preparing for these games, and try to do your best to finish as well as you can. And then when you approach the NCAA tournament, it's almost like a clean slate, because you're going to face teams more often than not that they've just won their conference championship, or they're 26-8 in the season. They're really good. And you just got to find those little areas. Okay, this is where we can take away from this team and we can exploit them and just push our will on them to get that victory. And I think that's a big thing going into the season. Just really focus one game at a time, figure out, okay, what do we need to do here to meet this challenge and exceed it?
I think Blaine might have asked you this question while I was in the elevator, and I apologize if he has, but your group was the first to go down here to the WCC tournament. How awkward was it to show up to a five-alarm conference tournament having never been here, and now this basketball team is about to go do the same thing at their first Big 12 tournament?
It's going to be new and exciting for them. You get there and it's just, I don't know the best way to explain it, but it's just a new circumstance, and hopefully you go in there prepared and ready to go. And I don't think it's going to be a big distraction, because they've been traveling new places all year already. So when they go here, it's just going to be another, hey, here's another venue. Let's prepare for it. Let's get ready for it. But it'll definitely be a different rocking environment for sure down there.
I was going to ask you for an update on your family, but they seem to all be on the show with us. So I've added, is it Emilia and Nate are on with us? And where's Leslie fall in this? Is Leslie,
That's my mom. Leslie's my mom.
Okay. So Leslie informed us. She said there is 38 of us. So I don't know if all 38 are on, but we really appreciate the Hartsocks bringing it tonight. That's pretty damn awesome.
We didn't have 38 Danny Ainge family members come on the show.
I don't think Jimmer had. I don't even
Steve
think
Young
Whitney
or Ty Detmer.
Whitney didn't even listen to Jimmer when he was on. Yep.
There you go.
We should have started with you, Noah. That's what we should have done.
I asked Barb if she heard Steve Young. No, she didn't even know he was on the show. But
I give kudos to my wife because I didn't tell my family I was going to be on this, but my wife, the smart woman she is, she's like, yes, I'm going to let your family know.
That's awesome. Hey, we love it. We love that the whole Hartsock family is in the house. And I do agree. It's Hartsock Nation because they're all over the place and they're all listening in. So I wanted to ask, give us a little update on you and your family. And also what you're doing with Kingdom and Company. It's a high-end remodel company, custom home builder. What's going on with the Hartsock family these days?
So yeah, we've been in Vegas now for almost 9 years. So yeah, me and Kendall have been here. We've been coaching. Kendall's had a lot more success. She's been a state runner-up and as her head coaching debut with her women's volleyball team. She also coaches an 18 under travel volleyball team. So she's been killing it there. We have 5 kids now. We got 1 boy who's 10 and then 4 girls after that. So we're a house full of a lot of kids, a lot of running around, not a lot of sleep. We just had our 5th child, another girl. So she is, I think, 6 weeks now. So we are being crazy, but loving life. It's been good.
Well, Noah, tonight we learned that you were going to go to the U, and and we're glad it worked out this way. Having played at BYU, been a part of those big moments, and then being the team leader yourself, what has that done for you here now, a bunch of years removed? How valuable of an experience has it been for you to have played at BYU?
It's really changed my life. I guess you could say just being at a place where I was around really good leaders, really good teammates, just a great community where I could learn and it's really propelled me in my life, especially meeting connections, meeting people here. The company I work for now, because I taught and coached for a while and got out of it, but I'm hoping to get back in coaching. Actually, it might sound crazy, but I kind of want to get back into it. I'm missing it too much. But it's one of my buddies who I first met here playing pickup basketball, and he started this company of developing high-end remodels, design, and so I joined him a couple of years ago, and it's been awesome doing that. You get to meet a lot of great people. I mean, we did remodels for some Las Vegas Raiders, some people in the UFC, and so you get to meet a lot of different people in this field, and it's been awesome to do that. But it's been a blessing for my life. And I tell you, I probably end up going to BYU because when I was walking on campus, and I'll tell you, BYU is my least favorite visit out of all the campus visits I did when I was getting.
Wait, how come? What happened?
Yes,
other places were more fun. I'll tell you that. We had more fun, did some more fun activities. But when I was walking just on campus, I had a strong impression. It's like, hey, you need to go to BYU. And they were just, I think Steve Cleveland and Dave Rose were switching. Dave Rose got the head coaching job. And so there was kind of, hey, is this going to be a great program? Utah was just coming off with Andrew Bogut and having a great year there. So, but I just had a strong impression, hey, you need to go BYU. And I think, rest is history. It turned out great.
So there's the lesson to be learned out of all of this. When you have strong impressions, we're supposed to listen to those, right? And then we act on those. And Noah's life's been unbelievably blessed. Hey, by the way, Noah, the Chicago Hartsocks are in the house too. Lindsay and her whole family are in the house too. So I don't know how many this is.
BYU great, Lindsay Hartsock.
That's right. So awesome stuff. So
this is a personal record of Hartsock.
I think it is. I think it's a personal record for any guest that have their own rooting section with all the same last name too. I think it's some type of a record. The show's been going for 2 years now, Noah, so it's pretty big.
Yeah, the challenge is next week, how many are going to be on here?
Max Hall. This raises the bar for Max Hall next week.
Yeah, Max is on next week. I'm going to challenge Max and tell him if he doesn't bring at least 38 with him, then he's just not doing his job. So we want all Hartsocks back next week. We have fun stuff to talk about. Come on all back with us every week if you want to. Or you can just listen to it on the week on a download it and go ride the bike or do whatever you want because it's available afterwards as well. So, well, no, we're going to hit you up with 5 questions that we do with all of our guests that come on for the first time just to get to know you a little bit. But before we do that, I want Noah to help us with the Cougar Board question of the week, Dave, because this, I think he can help us answer this a little bit better. So I've got it here. You're not familiar with, if you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans, thousands of posts daily. This question comes from Durandal, one of the inside subscribers. And here's the question. BYU has really struggled when they shoot poorly from 3-point range. 0-6 when they're below 32%. Will BYU need to stay hot from 3 in the NCAA tournament in order to win games? If they have a poor shooting night, what do they have to do to pull out a win?
All right. So the first part, yes, I think they got to shoot 35% or better to advance and make some noise in the tournament. It's their game. It's what their bread and butter is, and they have so many capable guys that can step up and knock down shots. So, yeah, for them to advance, I think they really got to knock that down. If they have one of those off shooting nights, I think really it just comes down to defense transition, getting stops defensively, 1 rebound, no offensive rebounds, and getting the ball and push and finish in the lane. It's the team that I think they have capability of getting to the lane, drawing fouls. So if they're not hitting shots, make sure defensively we're getting stops defensively, 1 and out, going, attacking, make that defense guard on their heels and get to the line and really, just adjust your game plan as necessary.
One thing we saw.
Go ahead, Dave.
One thing we saw during the Texas game and the TCU game is when those shots weren't going, Foose came in and they just started going inside. Yeah. And Foose was the big guy in both those wins. You might have a little harder time in a tournament going up against those kind of teams to just take over that way, but at least they've experimented with a little bit of plan B.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you, do you remember what seeds you had the year in Jimmer's year when you guys advanced? What seed was that year? You had a higher seed, right?
Yeah, we were a 3 seed.
Yeah, see, I think that makes a huge difference. Right now, BYU's projected as a 5 seed. Now, your senior year, what seed that year? 13 seed that year?
I think we were a 13 seed, yeah.
It just makes it so much harder in that first round if you're not a single-digit seed and if you're not literally below 7. Right now, they're projected to split these last 2 games, go into the tournament. This is what people are projecting, is the 5th seed in the Big 12 tournament. Interestingly enough, they're also projected as a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. If they win both of these games this week, they have a really good shot, regardless of what happens in the tournament, the Big 12 tournament, on being a 4 seed. Does that make a big difference in your mind if they're a 4 or a 5 seed versus you guys having to go in and be a 13 seed?
If I think if you get one of those top 4 seeds, you just feel a little bit better because usually, hey, at 13 or above, not as strong, and it's kind of a good first matchup game. I mean, obviously we've seen 15, 16s, take down the top seeds, but I think you feel a little bit better because, hey, you get a 5 seed, you might be in 12 seed, it might be Villanova from the Big East. And you get a tough challenge right off the bat. So I think once you get to that second round, it's tough no matter what you face. And so it's, I could see BYU, I think the highest they can get is a 4. I don't know if they'll crack that 3 unless they win the Big 12 tournament or get to the finals of there. I think there's just a couple of teams ahead of them in that regard. But if they win out, do well, win, 4 straight games here, I can see a 4 seed for sure.
Feels like a 5 is
reasonable.
Would be something to celebrate, especially if it gets them to Salt Lake. There seems to be so much to jump to get up to 4, but man, Leonardi's got him at a 5 today. 5 feels like, wouldn't you just take that and go to the bank?
If I was a doubter at the beginning of the year, I was thinking, okay, this team, if they can get 6 wins in the Big 12, I think that is a huge success for them. I mean, they've blown it out of the water this year.
You were not alone, Noah, with that. Lots of people thought that, and they have been an unbelievable pleasant surprise. Great job of this coaching staff, but also the tenacity that this team plays with has been really fun to watch as they have adjusted into this new league.
Agreed.
So 5 questions for Noah. Should we go with that, Dave?
Yeah. Now remember, Noah, you're going to be judged by all of your family members on
Yeah.
this.
And you guys can do 5 questions with everybody to see what you know about each other. But you're not supposed to really think about these. No, you're just supposed to answer them really quickly. Okay.
Okay.
So, your favorite sports movie?
Ooh, favorite sports movie. Ooh, I like Hoosiers a lot.
Hoosiers. That was Marie Osmond's, wasn't it, Dave? I think Marie
Osmond and a lot of other smart people picked Hoosiers.
Liked Hoosiers. Dave, is yours Hoosiers? Yeah, Dave's is Hoosiers too. So there you go. Your favorite singer or band?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people in my family guess it. It's One Republic.
Oh yeah.
Now that is my jam. I've got 2 One Republic T-shirts. I think we've seen them numerous times. And
did you see him at Stadium of Fire a few years back?
I did.
Yeah.
I was the one standing, dancing, all crazy there.
Yeah, is that Niall guy? Is he from One Republic? Is the guy that's on The Voice? I don't know that. I know the songs, but I don't know who's in One Republic.
Oh, so Ryan Tedder's the lead singer. We named one of our daughters her middle name Ryan.
Oh, this is big time of affection for this band then.
No, let me tell you the story. So I was emceeing Stadium of Fire that year, and I had to go out and introduce the band. And my daughter's favorite band at the time was One Direction. And so in my head, it was, do not say One Direction, do not say One Direction. So I said One Republic as fast as I could just to get it out so I could clear my conscience of being so afraid I'm going to say One Direction.
That is a tough one. So, okay, here's question 3, Noah, and this is one we judge all people by. So just, choose wisely. Your favorite breakfast cereal?
I love Fruity Pebbles.
Nice. My wife actually makes a treat where she mixes Fruity Pebbles with some other type of sugar, maybe Karo syrup or something, I don't know, and she makes them into little, like, Rice Krispie treats out of Fruity Pebbles. Nothing better in the world.
I don't know if you can do that legally in Provo.
I could eat a whole pan of them. It's not good. It's not good. So I can respect Fruity Pebbles. Your favorite BYU moment, Noah?
Favorite BYU moment? I'd probably have to say when I met my wife for a study assignment in the library before she was my wife.
Oh.
How'd that go? What happened?
Yeah, turned out well. I think that might have been the night she kissed me on the cheek, so
it was a good moment. Wait, at the end of the study session, she kissed you?
Yeah.
How did that go down?
I was probably really smart and was helping her on their assignment. She's like, hey, just a thank you kiss.
Wow. And that led to all of this.
Listen, we had $1 for every guy that dreamed of going to the library to study and end up getting kissed by somebody that he later marries, would have a lot of dollars. That's a living the dream scenario.
That is a dream. That's awesome.
Were you a basketball star at the time, so she knew what she was, she was out with Mr. Big Shot, or what?
Well, I was a return missionary, didn't have much style. I don't think we played any games yet. So it was must have been my charms beforehand.
Basically what Noah's telling us is she was attracted to nerdy guys. That's what it was.
Nice job. Nice job, Noah.
Okay, so here's number 5 for you. Your favorite coaching moment.
That I coached?
Yeah, that you coached.
Oh. There was probably one. It was actually, I don't know, I got a lot, but we were in Utah. Okay, how about this one? I'll tell a different story. This one's good. This is a BYU story. So we're playing at San Francisco. I'm a grad assistant. We're in a timeout. It's a tense game. I had to pass some gas.
No.
It was one of those that it was horrible. And I'm not taking, because here's Coach Rose. He's getting our guys, intense moment, everything. And you can see all the other assistant coaches, Terry Nashif, Rob Ray. They're like, what? That is horrible. And I'm just like, I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing anything. Man, it was brutal. It was brutal.
That is not.
To be honest, I didn't see that coming. When did you see that story coming?
I did not see it coming. So at University of San Francisco, Dave and I have one of our favorite broadcast moments at the University of San Francisco. Remember when Rex was the head coach over there, Dave? Rex Walters, who was a former National Player of the Year at Kansas, right? Dave says to him, who do you have on this team that reminds you of you? And Rex looks right back at Dave, like almost like, what are you talking about? He goes, I don't have anybody on this team that reminds me of me. I was the number one recruit in the country. If I could get me, we would win a lot more games. I don't get me here. And Dave and I just died. We're like, no coach has ever been that honest with us. Like, I cannot get anybody like me here. Pure honesty. Dave and I just have shook our heads ever since about that one.
Yeah, that was one for the ages.
Yeah.
Noah, you're one of our favorites. What's the score for Wednesday night?
It's going to be BYU 87, Iowa State 83.
Whoa. So BYU's going to shoot lights out like they did last time and make 13 threes. That's what you're saying.
And nobody's playing defense?
That's the best kind of basketball.
It is the best kind of basketball. No, we loved having you on. We sure appreciate it. And we loved having the entire Hartsock family from all over the country in the house with us tonight. It's the best. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, Dave, we got to see you at Sushi Bomb tonight.
Yeah, first of all, you'll never see me at a place called Sushi Bomb. Secondly, are we going to see all the Hartsocks down here for the baseball game tomorrow afternoon? It's going to be like 79 degrees.
Why not? Let's go.
Why not?
Is it over at UNLV's Park over? That's a nice place to play baseball. Yeah, you just go support the Cougs, Noah. Get over there.
Let's go.
There's a better chance of you and I running into each other at In-N-Out Burger than there ever will be at a place called Sushi Bomb there, Noah.
All right.
So thanks, Noah.
You're the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Hartsock family. We appreciate you guys. Hey, upcoming guests next week, we got Max Hall and TJ Haws are going to join us. I don't know if they can follow.
That's going to be cool because Max is going to talk about, and from what I've heard, and I don't know if Nixon confirmed it, but what I've heard is he's planning on playing.
Oh, yeah. Nixon said
in the alumni
Nixon
game.
said in his interview that Max is playing. So
yeah, so we have a lot to talk to Max about.
Nix wasn't even as Nix is like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm not sure if I'm going to do more coaching from the sideline or play. Like Nix was hedging a little bit, but he said that Max is in. So, and TJ Haws will join us. We had the great fortune of having TJ on the set with us. He and Tyler in one of our pregame shows, and TJ was phenomenal. So we're going to have a lot of fun with TJ. Great former BYU basketball player that's played in a lot of pressure situations. On March 18th, Greg Wrubell, Mark Durant are going to come on together and bring us an NCAA tournament preview. Craig Cusick, also one of Noah's teammates that beat Iona, is going to be on with us. So it's going to be a big-time basketball show on the 18th. March 25th, Brian Logan's going to come in and co-host with me because you're going to be on the road. This is baseball again, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's actually during the show. So it's a home game at 6:00. So Belo's going to come.
So our guy Belo's coming in, and we're going to have Dave and Garrett Rose. I'm really, really excited about this, and I'm also pumped for the first time for Holly Hassler, the women's tennis coach, who's off to a phenomenal start this year, by the way, with a team of international stars from all over the globe. Which is going to match our live stream here from all over the world. We'll have Holly in the house with us on March 25th. And then April 1st, we're going to have John, by the way, with us and another guest to be announced. But John finally figured out how to work it into his Monday night schedule, right? Is this what happened?
Yeah, I've been negotiating with him. And we figured, hey, you know what? Let's kick off General Conference weekend with John, by the way, on the Wise Guys. And we'll talk about the link between sports and spirituality, and there's a big one because both are so packed with emotion, and so I think we're gonna have a fascinating visit with John. By the way, of course, we encourage everyone's questions, and those are just the teasers for the next few weeks. But we're excited about this whole March Madness business, and the women's team's actually getting a taste of it this week, right? With the Big 12
That's right.
tournament starting. Let's run through some campus notes and begin with women's basketball. They're 16-15, so they go 6-12 in their first year in the Big 12. They finished tied with TCU in 9th place, and Blaine, they had a chance to go to Austin and reunite with Shaylee Gonzalez the other night.
Yeah, and Lauren Gustin, as she does, I just did one of the women's games this last week. It's crazy. You and I together. And we just kept looking at each other at every break going, it's crazy that Lauren Gustin went from the WCC to the Big 12, where everybody said there's no way she can lead the nation in rebounding again and dominate the way she did. And she may have been even more dominant this year in the Big 12 than she was last year in the WCC. Unbelievable season. And you and I got to do senior night. But in that BYU-Texas game, Lauren had 20 points and 15 rebounds. Just a typical game. But BYU had 22 turnovers. That was just too much. The number 3 Longhorns beat them 71-46. And former Cougar Shaylee Gonzalez, she finished just 1 of 8 and 3 points. So she didn't have a big-time game.
No, I think the emotion of it all gets to you when you're playing your former school.
Yeah,
and
it's tough.
And remember, Shaylee didn't leave here disgruntled. She left here with her degree.
Right.
And then it's a chance to go, you know what, I really want to go to the NCAA tournament, play for national championship. Texas
has a shot every year.
So more power to her. We'd love to have her stay, but we totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm always a big proponent. I know you are too. If you get your degree, then you have the right to do whatever you want.
Yeah, and we're huge Shaylee fans. We want her to have great success. We hope they do go win a national championship this year, and Shaylee's a part of that. Absolutely. So BYU Houston.
The game you and I called with the Houston game, Gustin and Smiler, that was senior night. Lauren had 19 and 17 boards. BYU won that one by 10. They're 13-1 when they hold a team to 66 points or less. So going into the Big 12 tournament, that's the number I'm watching, 66.
66 it is. You know my favorite part about that night wasn't even the game. It was senior night after the game when they honored Lauren Gustin and Kaylee Smiler. And how about Smiler's family all coming in from New Zealand and doing a traditional haka for her on the court? It gives you the tingles. It was pretty fun and pretty cool. What a moment.
Yeah, that was a sweet experience. Our cameras were right on her face when she came and realized everyone was there. It was awesome. You know, on the other side of the spectrum, freshman Kaylee Woolston. Now, Smiler's finishing. Kaylee's just getting started. But the night before senior night is when it was announced that she's going to leave the program after this season to serve an 18-month church mission to Baltimore, Maryland. And she is just stoked as can be. And, you know, for Amber Whiting, it's like, okay, might not have been planning on that. I got to go find another shooting guard. And she's got Delaney Gibb coming in. But we when we had our coaches meeting with her, we congratulated her. We said, well, you're an official BYU coach. You're sending one of your star players out on a mission. That's what
you deal with at BYU that nobody else deals with, and you figure it out. And Kaylee had a phenomenal freshman season, and they'll welcome her back when she comes back. And you're right, they're gonna have to go find another person that can shoot like she can to play alongside those other 2 great guards. Big 12 tournament is in T-Mobile Arena in Kansas City. On the women's side, starts this Friday, or it actually starts this week. Friday is the second round when the 10-seed BYU plays the 7-seed Kansas. That's 4:30 Mountain. That'll be on ESPN Plus and BYU Radio. The Jayhawks swept BYU during the regular season, 67-53 in Lawrence and 70-62 in Provo. You know, keys to this game, you and I, Dave, we talked about this in the game we did last week. Guard play is key. Amari Whiting, Kaylee Woolston, they've got to play well, and they've got to knock down shots. Gustin's going to get hers. She's going to go get 20 and 20 maybe. But they can lose when she gets 20 and 20 if the guards don't play. And the tough news is that the winner gets to go play the 2-seed Texas Saturday at 4:30. No easy task.
Once you get to that upper echelon group of the Big 12,
they're so good.
It's murderer's row. I think Kansas has that big 6'6" center that's given Gustin a lot of trouble. So that's going to be the battle of the bigs. But those 2 guards, it's their first Big 12 tournament. It's their first tournament game since high school. Gosh, they got to play like someone other than freshmen in that environment. They can do it, but it's right there. You know, those 22 turnovers at Texas the other night, those are killers. And they could beat Kansas, but not if they just give the ball away like they've done with the Jayhawks those first 2 games.
Yeah, these freshman guards are so wildly talented. They're bringing another one in Delaney Gibb this next year. It's a young guard line, so crazy talented, and they've made an unbelievable amount of progress throughout the course of the season. Let's see if they can cap it off and play like sophomores this year in the Big 12 tournament. So men's volleyball, they're 10-6 now. Number 6 BYU's at number 8 Stanford Friday and Saturday. They always play these back-to-back, kind of double-header back-to-back days when they go on the road. The next home match is against Concordia, who will come to BYU March 29th and 30th for a back-to-back nights game.
So I didn't fly. I was on a bus coming down here to Vegas with the baseball team.
Oh, I let everybody know you're busting it down there. But you're going to fly to West Virginia, thank goodness, right?
Yeah, we're flying. Yeah, or it'd be a month-long trip. It was interesting busing down because, you don't ever do that.
It's old school.
Busting into Vegas, everything's green around here this time of year because it's the desert and it's coming out of winter, and so all the NASCAR guys cleared out of the speedway, but they're playing UNLV here tomorrow afternoon at 3:05 on BYU Radio. That's 107.9 FM in Utah, and then the BYU Radio app. So I'll have the call on that because contractually you won't do baseball games with me. I don't know why you have a problem with that, but that seems to be.
I will be glad to do it, but I actually have to do some other work this week. So I'm on the road all week too. I'm going to be in Vegas. As soon as you leave, I'm coming to Vegas.
Right, because we can't be in Vegas at the same time.
No, when you and I are there at the same time, all kinds of problems occur down in Vegas.
So Thursday, what we're going to do is after play tomorrow afternoon, and then Wednesday morning we fly to Pittsburgh and then bus to Morgantown. Because, there's no easy way into Morgantown, West Virginia.
Right.
And then the Big 12 opener is Thursday and Friday at 1 o'clock Mountain Time, and then Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time on BYU Radio. And the games are also on ESPN Plus because they're Big 12 games. But the team's 5-5. They swept Gonzaga, start playing a little bit better. The weather's going to be super nice in Vegas here tomorrow. I don't know about West Virginia. I think we're going to have a little bit of rain. But we better not rain out. That's a long ways to go for a rain out.
To get rained out. No, that can't happen. That can't happen.
But I think they're figuring it out. It's a fun bunch. The Big 12 is going to be I go back to what Noah said. He thought the basketball team would be great if they had 6 wins coming into that. I kind of have the same kind of thought with the baseball team. They're just joining a league that's already traveling at full speed. PCU, Texas, Oklahoma, and BYU, and this baseball team's coming out of the WCC where it struggled a little bit. It's just going to be a really, really interesting year, and so it gets started Thursday. Hey, why not go back there and take 2 out of 3?
That'd be great. It's how fun for you to travel. Like, I know bus isn't the best way to get to Vegas, but the chance to be with the team for that amount of time and to get to know them, and you're really having a really great opportunity as you've traveled around the country this last couple of weeks with them to get to know these guys. And so good luck on the call tomorrow, or Wednesday actually, and then
what is tomorrow?
No, tomorrow, Tuesday tomorrow, and then safe travels back to West Virginia and 3 games to call this weekend. How about softball? They're 14-4 right now. Their Big 12 home opener is Thursday through Saturday against Texas Tech. It's got to stop snowing. I think it is supposed to by then. We had nothing but snow the last couple of days. Thursday to Friday at 5 Mountain, Saturday at noon. So Thursday and Friday, 5, Saturday, noon. All games are on ESPN Plus. And how about Violet Zavodnik? She's hitting .447, has 5 home runs already.
Yeah, she's healthy and feeling good. Remember, Gordon Eakin was saying, hey, Violet's going to have a big year coming off that injury year. And she's must-see TV right there.
Yeah, and they'll compete in the Big 12. They should be good. So it'll be fun.
The challenge. Did you see the Big 12 poll? Number 1 is Oklahoma. Number 2 is Texas.
Yeah, of course.
In the nation. That's not just the conference. That's the country. So there's some big ones coming up. Yeah. And hey, why not? Because what we're not doing is playing Pacific and Pepperdine this year. We're playing Oklahoma and Texas.
Exactly. Hey, gymnastics.
Cougars are 27th in the country, beat Southern Utah in Provo on Saturday. They're at Southern Utah tonight over in Cedar City. And then Friday night, Ohio State of the Big Ten comes into Provo for a gymnastics meet at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. It's hard for me to tell how the team is. Did we win or do we lose? They celebrated a high score but lost, but the high scores are what matter the most as you qualify for, the NCAA tournament. Gymnastics got me all over the place. So, but they are number 27 in the country, and so there's that. And they got Ohio State coming to the Marriott Center.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. We've taken our granddaughters and grandsons over to gymnastics meet. It's a great event, and so if you have a chance to get out there and see Ohio State in the house on Friday night, get out there. Track and field, that's one of the programs that does not need to wait to compete in any league of any kind. They're national class. They're the NCAA National Indoor Championships. 15 qualifiers for the NCAAs. That's Friday through Saturday in Boston, and you can expect BYU to win some of those races. It's a big time program. Indoor track, outdoor track, cross country, right in the top of the country every year.
Yeah, we wish them all the best. Swim and dive, the BYU men took 3rd at the Big 12 championships, and the women took 5th at the Big 12 championships. Everybody's competing. Yeah. Everybody is competing on campus. Some are winning it. Some are finishing pretty close. Some are in the middle, but no one's at the bottom.
Yeah, and tennis is no exception. BYU tennis, the men have started out 10-3. They've won 9 straight matches, and they host Oklahoma State on March 21st. And then the women, Holly Hassler's going to join us here in a couple weeks on the show. They've started 10-1, 2-0 in conference. They host Kansas State on Thursday, Oklahoma State on Saturday. And Holly will be on here with us on March 25th. We're really excited to have her on. But what a start for BYU women's tennis, as they're really rolling.
Yeah, everybody's playing great. And a shout out to BYU Senior Associate Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator, Liz Darger. She's been appointed to serve on the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Committee. And so she gets to be involved in all of the things that go down there. I don't know if it's going to get us a better seeding, years down the road. I'd like to think so. Why not? But so Liz is involved in the Division I Basketball Committee. And you know what? With the SEC and the Big Ten kind of doing their thing, and the dissolving of the Pac-12, to where we've got the 4 P5 leagues, these next few years are going to be really, really interesting with what direction we're all going. And so I think if there's ever a time to be on that committee for Liz, this is it, because I think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah,
well, we need to reach out to Liz and have Liz come on the show with us. She'd be great to come on. I'd love to get her take on NIL and its impact on women's sports and all of that. She'd be phenomenal. We'll see if we can't track Liz down and get her to come on with us. She'd be a great guest. Well,
so while I was en route, I know you covered a lot of basketball for the men, but let's go back over a couple things before we roll out of here with On This Day. So back in the top 20, that's still good. Huge one Wednesday with Iowa State, and then Oklahoma State at home. In theory, 10-8, right?
Right.
In theory, 10-8. Maybe you could get to 11-7 if you win out. Iowa State's going to be brutal. We all get that. The fact that BYU beat them by double digits in Provo doesn't necessarily mean they're going to beat them by double digits on the road. No. It means that they're going to be mad over there in Ames. And so that one's tough. Saturday at home, so you have the advantage there. And then you're right there on the borderline. Do you get into the double bye, or do you have to play on that second day of the tournament? What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of charted it out. I didn't get into it in too much depth. I did say, though, that so you look at it's Kansas, Texas Tech, and TCU that they're kind of battling for. And I went through the Big 12 standings when you were on the bus, but Houston at 13-3, Iowa State at 12-4, and Baylor at 10-6. Baylor's the only one that maybe you could catch, right?
Because they're playing Texas tonight, right?
Right, and then they play at Texas Tech. And so Baylor, it's not a given that they're going to sweep those two teams, right? So Baylor could be. I bet they split. I bet Baylor splits those games. They could win them both. If they win them both, then they're 12-6 and they're untouchable, right? And they secure that 3. But let's say they split and they go 11-7, and BYU sweeps these two games and go 11-7. They could tie Baylor for 3rd. That's kind of the best.
I don't know where the tiebreak goes.
Because they split.
Because they would have split.
They split. I think it goes against the next highest team, and this is Spencer.
Maybe Iowa State.
Yeah, Spencer just sent me the all the tiebreaker scenarios, because that's a possibility, right? That's a long shot. Yeah. But I think it goes to the top teams in Iowa State. If BYU would have swept Iowa State, that could be the deciding factor to have BYU be a 3. Now, what's more likely is that BYU goes 10-8, Kansas goes 10-8, Texas Tech goes 10-8, and TCU goes 10-8. I mean, that's very possible.
We have the tiebreaker over Kansas,
right? But not Texas Tech.
And the tiebreaker over TCU,
right? So I think Texas Tech would end up being the 4, and BYU would be the 5 if all were tied.
That's probably it.
Yep.
What was fascinating to me is we're gonna finish higher than Kansas. Because even if we finish tied, we beat them straight up. I mean,
Kansas
who in
State
the world would have thought that?
Kansas State left, so they're 10-8. And the reason I say they're 10-8 because at 9-7 they play Kansas State at home, who I think they're going to win, they're going to beat, and then they go on the road to Houston.
No, they're not winning that game.
Yeah, and so, did I just hear that another Houston player is hurt with a broken foot and out? I just wrote that down someplace, but.
Even so, they're playing in Houston.
Yeah.
Kansas isn't a good road team anyway.
Yeah. So say Kansas splits, they get Kansas State at home, they lose to Houston, they're 10-8. Texas Tech plays at Oklahoma State, and then Baylor at home. I say that they get Oklahoma State, or they get Oklahoma State on the road, and they probably lose to Baylor at home. Although that's an iffy one. So if Texas Tech were to sweep those games and BYU to split, Texas Tech would. But Texas Tech is the one that has the tiebreaker with them anyhow, right? Yeah.
It looks to me like reality screams a 5 seed.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen
is a win over Iowa State, and you get a 4.
There's going to be a bunch of teams tied for 4th place at 10-8, and with the tiebreakers, BYU is going to be the 5 seed. That's what I think is going to happen. This?
We're discussing whether BYU is a 4 or a 5.
When they were projected to be a 13.
When we started this thing, it was like, hey, does every team get to go to the conference tournament? Are we going to be able to get in just because we're in the league? And now it's about, hey, how many rounds can we skip? I mean, It's been a phenomenal experience. I wrote about it in the Desert News, by the way, today on this March Madness. This is kind of how Gonzaga fans have always felt down here at the WCC tournament, which starts this week. They show up. They already know they're in the big dance. They're not stressed.
There's no pressure.
They're having a good time. They enjoy the whole week. Well, BYU goes to Kansas City no matter what happens this week. In the big dance.
Yeah, they're in the tournament no matter what happens.
You're just playing with house money.
Yeah.
Relax and have some fun.
And here's why I wouldn't be I'm going to say the same thing I said about Kansas. Do I think BYU is going to beat Iowa State on the road? No, I do not think they are. Will I be shocked if they beat them? No, I'm not going to be shocked. I told everybody I would not be shocked if they beat Kansas, because if BYU gets knocking down threes, they are really hard to beat. BYU made 13 threes. Kansas made 3. Bill Self, before the game, the day before the game, said, hey, you could lose a game against BYU. If they make 13 threes and we make 3, we could lose. He said that the day before the game. BYU made 13, Kansas made 3. Remember, in that Iowa State game, in that first meeting between these two teams, BYU made 13 threes, and Iowa State made 4. Sound familiar? One off. BYU defended the 3 really well. Iowa State didn't make them, and BYU made 13. Iowa State does not like this matchup with BYU. They don't like how they play 5 out. That's a really physical team. Iowa State's a really good basketball team. But BYU kind of takes them out what they like to do. They have to defend them differently than anybody else. And if BYU can knock down 13 threes, they have a chance to beat Iowa State. Do I think they're going to beat Iowa State? No, I do not. Will I be flabbergasted if they do? No, I won't. I won't be crazy surprised if they beat them on the road. And then I think they come home and beat Oklahoma State. So there you go.
Let's say you go on the road. Iowa State's like 8 in the net. You steal a road game at the 8. What does that do to your net? And does that catapult you, right?
Yeah,
all of a sudden, could you be a 4 seed if you go in and beat Iowa State at this time of year?
That's why I was saying, could they be a 4 seed? When we were talking with Noah, they sweep these 2 games, I think they could be a 4 seed because they would be the 8 net team. The number 6 team in the AP and the number 8 team in the net on the road would be huge. And it would be their 5th they'd beaten Iowa State twice, but it'd be their 5th win against 4 different ranked teams, 5 ranked wins in the AP and in the top 25 in the net. That's impressive. And the fact that San Diego State just is playing so well right now, helps BYU because that's one of their ranked wins too. Right. So,
yeah, I think it's a phenomenal job by the guys and the staff. And, now they get to go back. And again, I think they're playing with house money at Iowa State. No one expects them to win that game.
Yeah, just
so
go
why
play
not?
free. Yeah.
Take your shots.
And we always talk about the ESPN matchup predictor because it takes a bunch of metrics into it. It's got BYU with a 21% chance to win at Iowa State. But then it has them coming home with a 93.7% chance to beat Oklahoma State at home. Which sounds about right. Both of those sound about right. But 21%, to quote Dumb and Dumber, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, that was like 1,000,000 to 1.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there you go.
Hey, let's roll out of here with March 4th on this day. I can't believe we're in March.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We are March 4th.
March Madness. So let's start with 1789. March 4th, 1789, the first U.S. Congress meets and declares the Constitution in effect.
So it was go time.
It was go time.
1792, oranges are introduced to Hawaii.
How did you even find that? Like, that is so obscure. That's amazing, but it's obscure.
I know. That's why it made the list.
Yes.
I Google on this day, and there's all the stuff. I just picked the interesting thing.
1861. Abraham Lincoln is inaugurated as President of the United States on March 4th, 1861.
This used to be Inauguration Day.
Yeah.
Now it's earlier, back in January. But, yeah, good old Abe. 1927 on this day, Babe Ruth becomes the highest paid player in Major League Baseball history with a whopping 3-year contract paying him $70,000 per season with the Yankees. The Yankees this season will be paying Aaron Judge $40 million.
Yeah, that's not crazy. So, in 1976 on this date, the Giants sell for $8 million. But today's value is $3.7 billion. So there's the difference, right? There's the difference.
That's crazy.
Those are both crazy.
Why didn't we get in on that Giants sell for $8 million?
$3.7 billion, man. I think I could raise $8 million to buy him right now. No problem.
March 4th birthdays, 1958, Patricia Heaton, Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, and how about 1990, Draymond Green from the Warriors?
What do you think of that Draymond Green?
He's crazy.
He's kind of, I never know where he is. And if something bizarre happens in the game, he's usually involved.
Yeah. No, he's crazy, and he's a crazy good rebounder. So, but he's
helped those
Warriors. Helped them win some great things. How about March 4th deaths? Man, 1994, Uncle Buck, John Candy, passes away.
Yeah.
Why is there so many funny men have an early death?
I don't know. You throw him in there, Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are huge. That had to factor in.
Robin Williams, John Candy, Chris Farley. Didn't John Belushi die early too? I think. It's just like, I don't know. To be so funny, maybe they have to also have a dark side. I don't know. So.
I don't know. They all had demons, that's for sure. Yeah. Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week comes from Babe Ruth.
Babe says, "Every strike brings me closer to the next home run." That's it. Yep.
Pretty positive.
Every strike.
That's a pretty good way to look at it.
It's just one swing closer to my next home run. That's the way you got to look at it.
If we could just tweak our lives into that kind of mentality, because we get so caught up in the mundane little things. Some are important, most of them aren't. But if we just looked at the Babe and go, yeah, swung and missed. Yeah, that's just going to get me ready for a home run, as opposed to, man, I can't believe I didn't hit the ball. How did I not hit the ball?
Throw me another pitch.
I got to go over my 20 things to hit the ball.
Throw me another pitch so I can jack that thing out of the stadium. That's his mentality.
Yeah.
So there you go. So
we all be a little more like Babe Ruth this week.
Well, be safe down there, and get over to Sushi Bomb or whatever the place that Noah said.
You know me better than that. I'm starved to death before I walk into a place called Sushi Bomb.
You will go get a chimichanga, but guess what? Our old place is not there anymore. Isn't that hotel? We used to go to the Hard Rock and the Mexican restaurant.
It's a different hotel now.
Now it's like the Virgin
Vegas
Hotel.
has changed.
So
yeah, Vegas has changed. Here's what I'm not going to be doing: going out anywhere tonight. Is what I'm not going to be doing.
You're just going to have food in, huh?
We're going to have. I'm glad we have a day game tomorrow. And it'll be nice to be back over to UNLV and see everyone. I was here for 20 years, so I'll get to see a lot of familiar faces.
Go see some
I was
friends.
actually at the groundbreaking of the baseball stadium in I think it was 94.
Yeah, as part of the UNLV team, as their broadcast team.
Yeah, so
hey,
then tomorrow night, the Rebels play San Diego State here at Thomas and Mack.
Are you going to go over?
I don't know. It's kind of late. But I will be going over to Pasta Mia's with
Yes,
the Nessas
you
tomorrow
will.
night.
Well, say hey to the Nessas for me
I
and
will
have some
be.
pasta for me. That's one of the best places in town. Now you just gave it away. Everybody's going to know.
I know, but they might not know where it is. But yeah, that game's going to be a little late, but it's going to be worth watching. The Rebels have won 8 of their last 9, and as you mentioned, San Diego State.
They're on a roll.
They're like in 4th place in the Mountain West, but their net is 17, 16?
Yeah. No, they're playing really well right now. Hey, and before we roll out, Jack's had on the chat asking folks who they like to have guests, and we had some really good suggestions. Somebody asked about Patty Edwards. My wife talks to Patty quite a bit, so I'll see if Patty could come on. That would be really fun to have Coach Edwards' wife, Patty Edwards, on if we could get her. Somebody said President Reese, awesome guy. We could ask Shane Reese if he would come on. That'd be worth an ask, I think. One of the in the chat said, how about one of the mental strength coaches from football or basketball? That would be really an interesting person to have on. So we'll take all of your recommendations. We appreciate you throwing those out there for us, and we'll consider and see if we can get some of those folks to come on. We appreciate the help with it, and we appreciate you being part of this every week. All of you out there, all around the world that come in and join in and help us on the chat. And we're also grateful for all that are going to download this tomorrow and take it out on a podcast with you and listen to. We're grateful for everybody that listens. We'll try to keep bringing you great content and great guests, and stay safe out there. And I'll see you Saturday night on the basketball game, Oklahoma State, on the pregame and postgame and halftime shows. And Dave will see you on the radio tomorrow as BYU baseball takes on UNLV. Have a great week, everybody.
We'll be back together in studio next Monday.
That's right.
We'll be messing around with this remote business. And we got Max and TJ. I'm really excited about having Max.
Great.
We haven't talked to him for a few months.
Great show for you guys next week.
See you guys.
See you, everybody.
See you from Vegas.